English story reading. The silent dream of speaking English echoed in Emily's heart. For years, she consumed content, reading silently, listening intently, yet a wall stood firm between her and confident conversation. The sheer thought of uttering a single sentence aloud often sent shivers down her spine. She longed to truly participate, to connect, to share her thoughts freely. This dream felt so distant. The initial hesitation was a heavy cloak, wrapping around her, stifling every attempt. She'd browsed countless how to learn English guides, absorbing theories, but the practical application felt insurmountable. The fear of mispronunciation, of grammar errors, loomed large, creating a self-imposed barrier that seemed impossible to break down. Her journey felt stalled. Her first consistent step was English story reading. She found simple narratives, allowing herself to get lost in the tales without the pressure of speaking. Each word absorbed, each sentence processed, slowly built a foundational understanding. It was a gentle introduction, a quiet way to begin her immersion, fostering a love for the language. Gradually, she moved to Listen English. Podcasts, simple news reports, and children's audiobooks filled her commute and downtime. Her ears accustomed themselves to the sounds, the rhythm, the intonation. She wasn't always understanding everything, but the sheer exposure was invaluable, building a neural pathway for future comprehension. It was like magic. The small victories were incredibly motivating. Catching a familiar phrase from a story she had read, understanding a simple dialogue in a podcast, these moments sparked immense joy. They were tiny cracks in the wall of her apprehension, proving that progress was indeed possible, little by little, day by day, step by step. However, a persistent challenge emerged: how to remember words. She would diligently look up new vocabulary, write it down, but by the next day, many words seemed to vanish from her memory. This cycle of discovery and forgetting was deeply frustrating, making her question her ability to ever truly master the language. The vast ocean of English vocabulary felt overwhelming. Flashcards helped somewhat, but often the words felt disconnected, floating in a void without context. This struggle with retention was a major roadblock, hindering her ability to form coherent thoughts and express herself. She knew there had to be a better way forward. She often heard the universal advice: just listen English more. While she recognized its value, she wondered if there was a deeper, more active way to engage with auditory input. Passive listening felt like half the battle, but she craved methods that would supercharge her retention and comprehension simultaneously. So, she adopted active listening. Instead of just letting sounds wash over her, she focused on intonation, stress patterns, and connecting words to images. She repeated phrases internally, trying to mimic the pronunciation she heard. This deliberate engagement transformed her Listen English sessions into powerful learning opportunities. It wasn't merely about hearing, it was about internalizing. She started pausing audio, looking up unfamiliar phrases, and replaying sections. This meticulous approach helped her grasp not just individual words, but how they were used in natural conversation, enhancing her understanding of nuanced meaning and expression. The question persisted: how to remember words effectively and permanently. She explored various techniques beyond simple repetition. She learned that context was king, linking new vocabulary to real-life situations, stories, and emotions, making them stick much more firmly in her mind. Moving beyond rote memorization, she started using new words immediately in imaginary sentences or by journaling. This active recall and application proved far more powerful than passively reviewing lists. The more she used a word, the more it became part of her active vocabulary, reducing forgetting. She started creating vivid mental images for difficult words, even drawing simple sketches in her notebook. Connecting ebullient with a bubbling, joyful person, for instance, made it memorable. This multisensory approach tapped into different parts of her brain, reinforcing the new information powerfully. Spaced repetition software became her ally, prompting her to review words just as she was about to forget them. Moreover, she made a conscious effort to use recently learned vocabulary in everyday conversations, even if they were just with herself, cementing them in her long-term memory. Observing how people speak English became a fascination. She noticed the casual contractions, the slang, the idiomatic expressions that rarely appeared in textbooks. It was a revelation. Native speakers didn't always adhere to strict grammar rules, prioritizing fluidity and naturalness. She paid close attention to their intonation, how their voices rose and fell with emotion and emphasis. It wasn't just about uttering words, it was about conveying meaning through tone. This insight fundamentally shifted her understanding of authentic communication, making it less daunting. The rhythm and flow of conversational English seemed almost musical. She started to appreciate the pauses, the fillers, and the subtle ways speakers signaled their turns. It wasn't a rigid, word-by-word process, but a dynamic, interwoven dance of language. Realizing it wasn't just about perfect grammar, but about natural usage liberated her. This observation eased her anxiety about making errors, encouraging her to focus more on getting her message across clearly, rather than striving for unattainable perfection every single time. Her understanding of how to learn English evolved into a holistic approach. She realized it wasn't just about isolated skills, but about integrating them. Reading informed her listening, listening improved her speaking, and speaking reinforced her vocabulary, creating a virtuous cycle. She committed to combining all skills daily: 20 minutes of English story reading, 30 minutes of listen English, and 15 minutes attempting to speak, even if it was just to herself. This integrated routine transformed her learning from fragmented efforts to a cohesive journey. Consistency became her guiding principle. She understood that small, daily efforts were far more effective than sporadic, intense study sessions. Building a habit of interacting with English every single day, even for short periods, yielded remarkable long-term results over time. Moving from passive learning to active engagement was the biggest shift. She transitioned from simply consuming content to actively producing it, however rudimentary. This shift from input to output was the catalyst that truly ignited her progress and confidence in using the language. The most daunting task remained: how to talk in English. The words felt heavy on her tongue. The fear of judgment paralyzed her. She imagined blank stares, polite corrections, or worse, not being understood at all, a truly terrifying prospect. The mental block was immense. She knew the vocabulary, understood the grammar rules, But when it came to spontaneous speech, her mind went blank. The pressure to perform, to articulate perfectly, often led to complete silence, frustrating her deeply. Overcoming self-consciousness and perfectionism became her new mantra. She reminded herself that mistakes were stepping stones, not roadblocks. Every error was an opportunity to learn, to refine, to improve, and nobody expected instant fluency from her. She understood that small steps, not giant leaps, were truly crucial for progress. She didn't need to deliver a flawless speech immediately. Just forming a simple sentence, answering a basic question, would be a monumental victory worth celebrating and building upon. Then came the critical moment: how to take first step for talking. It wasn't about finding a stranger to chat with. It was about finding a safe space, a low-stakes environment where she could begin without immense pressure or judgment. It felt like standing on the edge of a cliff, looking down into an abyss of unknown words and potential embarrassment. Her heart pounded, her palms sweaty. Yet a tiny voice inside urged her forward, whispering about the freedom that lay beyond this fear. She found a patient online tutor, someone who specialized in helping beginners overcome their speaking anxiety. This safe, one-on-one environment was exactly what she needed to try out her first hesitant sentences without fear of public humiliation or judgment. Her first conversations were painfully slow, filled with ums and ahs, but she persisted. Starting with simple greetings, describing her day in short phrases, gradually built her confidence. Each word spoken, however simple, felt like a small triumph. She incorporated listen and practice into her speaking efforts. Her tutor would provide a short audio clip, and Emily would listen intently, then try to repeat what she heard, focusing on intonation and rhythm rather than just individual words. Mimicking phrases became a daily ritual. She'd repeat sentences after her tutor, then record herself, comparing her pronunciation. This active repetition, rather than passive listening, helped her articulate sounds more accurately and naturally. Shadowing native speakers, repeating their words almost simultaneously, proved incredibly effective for intonation practice. She focused on capturing the musicality of English, the rise and fall of sentences, making her own speech sound more natural. Repeating simple sentences aloud, even when alone, built muscle memory in her mouth and tongue. It was like training for a sport. The more she practiced the movements, the more fluid and automatic they became during actual conversations. The necessity of active participation, not just passive intake, became undeniable. She understood that listening was crucial input, but speaking was the output that solidified her knowledge, making it an active, usable skill rather than just theoretical understanding. Moving towards real interaction, she started wondering how to talk to people in pairs. Her tutor suggested joining an online language exchange group, connecting with people who also wanted to practice their English, creating a mutually supportive environment. The search for a language exchange partner led her to Mia, another learner from a different country. They bonded over shared anxieties and a common goal, creating a comfortable space for practice where mistakes were seen as part of the learning journey. Their initial conversations were, predictably, filled with awkward pauses and fumbling for words. They often had to search for vocabulary or rephrase sentences multiple times. Yet, the shared experience made it less intimidating, almost endearing. The shared vulnerability in pair conversations was surprisingly liberating. Knowing that Mia was also struggling with similar challenges made Emily less self-conscious. They celebrated small victories together, fostering a sense of camaraderie and encouragement. Learning from each other's mistakes became a core aspect of their practice. They offered gentle corrections, explained idioms, and patiently waited for each other to formulate thoughts. This constructive feedback accelerated their progress significantly. Building confidence, one small conversation at a time, was key. Each successful interaction, no matter how brief or simple, chipped away at her anxiety. The cumulative effect of these small wins was a profound transformation in her self-belief. The joy of expressing thoughts, however imperfectly, was immeasurable. To articulate an opinion, share an anecdote, or even ask a simple question and be understood felt like unlocking a new dimension of communication and connection. They practiced real-life scenarios, engaging in role plays, ordering coffee, asking for directions, making travel plans. These practical simulations prepared her for authentic interactions, making future encounters less intimidating and more natural. Expanding vocabulary happened organically through their authentic dialogue. When a new word was needed, they'd look it up together, discuss its meaning, and immediately try to use it in context, solidifying its place in their memories. Noticing progress became a powerful motivator. From struggling with basic greetings to discussing complex topics, Emily saw tangible improvement. Celebrating these small victories kept her motivated and eager to continue her learning journey. The journey transformed from a chore to an adventure. English was no longer a subject to be mastered, but a living, breathing entity to be explored. Her curiosity blossomed, driving her to seek out new words, new phrases, new conversations. English story reading became a joy, not just a task. She devoured novels, understanding nuanced emotions and intricate plots, fully immersed in the narratives. The words flowed effortlessly, her comprehension soaring to new heights. Listening to complex narratives and academic lectures became a comfortable reality. She could follow intricate arguments, distinguish accents, and absorb information with remarkable ease, a testament to her consistent listen English practice. Remembering words happened almost naturally from context now. New vocabulary encountered in reading or listening often linked itself to existing knowledge, forming robust connections in her mind, reducing the need for explicit memorization efforts. Understanding how people speak English became intuitive. She could anticipate common phrases, recognize subtle cues, and naturally adjust her own speech to match the conversational flow, making interactions effortless and genuinely enjoyable. The joy of being able to how to talk in English became a daily reality. She initiated conversations, participated actively in discussions, and even shared her own learning tips with others, embodying the very confidence she once yearned for. No longer fearing how to take first step for talking, she embraced every opportunity to speak. Each interaction, whether with a stranger or a friend, was a chance to refine her skills and deepen her connection with the language. Daily listen and practice was ingrained as a natural habit, an integral part of her routine. It wasn't about forced drills, but about enjoying the process of immersion and continuous improvement, making learning seamless and fun. Confidently engaging in how to talk to people in pairs became her preferred method of practice. The supportive environment fostered deep learning and genuine friendships, proving that connection was truly the fastest path to fluency. The limitless possibilities unlocked by fluency were breathtaking. From traveling confidently to understanding global news, from enjoying foreign films to connecting with diverse cultures, English had become her bridge to a wider, more vibrant world.